Good morning, friends. This is Pastor Lorri from First UMC in Kirksville, and it is good to gather with you today on this Friday morning in early June. I'm actually pre-recording our time together this week because it is a traveling week. It's a week where our clergy and some lay members from our church are down at annual conference. So that's actually where I am this morning in a day of meetings and learning. I'm actually filming this from Teresa's office, where she has been getting ready for the mission trip. Right at about the time you're watching this, hopefully our mission trip folks are getting ready to board the train in La Plata to take off for their week in Boston. And so I've been thinking this week about our summer travels and some of those ways that there's usually somebody in the middle of a trip who kind of takes that parental role of making sure that folks have everything they need for a good, successful trip. Like as I look around me right now, there are water bottles, there are snacks, there's bedding and pillows and shirts that match, all the kinds of things that are needed on a trip. And I was thinking, especially after I read a chapter in this, I guess I haven't learned that yet, about parenting ourselves. There's this beautiful reminder of God as a parent, that God often takes on this fathering and mothering role in our lives to help remind us of the things that we may need reminders on. And now we see some of those lessons ourselves if we are in charge of other people. And I wanted to share just a little bit from this chapter today. It says, and like so many things, what is good for our kids is actually really, really good for us grown-ups too. It seems so simple when we tell our kids to do this. She writes, but I'm learning little by little. That's what's good for them is good for me as well. And starts off with, everybody knows that water is a magic mood changer. Now, not just a bottle of water. As adults, this is really important for us to stay hydrated. It's amazing how dehydration can impact our health. And actually, I'm going to open one of these right at the moment because I realized I could use a drink. And so I'm going to practice what I preach here. For kids, we know water can make a world of difference. Swimming or bath time or sprinklers. Sometimes time by a lake or river. Those of you who like to fish understand this. Sometimes even a good rain. Just that water can really just reset our moods. Another one of the things that we talk to our kids about is the importance of moving our bodies, of having fun. There's a little blue ball in here. Now, this one is probably not going on the mission trip because a rubber ball on a train is not a great idea. Normally, it's used when the kids go outside, right, for that change of scenery. Go, have some fun, run, move our bodies. And sometimes, as adults, we forget to do that. We get wrapped up in our projects where we're seated and we forget to move. Sometimes we forget to laugh and have fun, we even have a word for it, right? Play. And God invites us into play. Well, another one of those important ways that we parent ourselves is by making sure we're fed and healthy. Now, there's snacks here. Doritos aren't necessarily the healthiest thing, but when you get that hangry feeling, right? You're hungry, you're angry, sometimes a snack is exactly what's needed to just kind of reset things. And I don't know if any of you are ever tempted, if you're maybe one of the only ones at home, to just not eat, to not cook nourishing things for yourself. And so God invites us into taking care of ourselves, nourishing ourselves physically as well. And a snack or a meal can be a wonderful way to do that. And maybe one of the ways that is most important is sleep. Now, the kids are going to be taking their pillows and bedding along. And sleep is so important, right? She shares a story in this chapter about one of her sons who had a birthday party, about a week after the other child had had a birthday party. And as the day wore on, it had been a busy day, he got more and more tired. And she writes, what began as sleepy eyed and a little cranky devolved into weepy and combative and then accusatory and basically out of control. He started to complain about his party and how it wasn't nearly as good as his brother's and nobody liked him and his presents weren't any good and the food wasn't what he wanted. And before they knew it, suddenly in his mind, life was horrible. Now, she writes, this really wasn't true. Everything he was saying, realistically, things had gone fine. It had had his favorite foods, his favorite friends. Everybody had had a great time. So they let him talk and cry and realized very quickly that sleep was exactly what he needed. And he fell asleep, and then the next morning he woke up and he was back to his normal self. But this is what struck me in her reflections. She says it wasn't like because he was tired, he just felt things a little more deeply than he usually might. It was like tiredness truly made him think and feel and experience these very dark and sad emotions that were not connected to reality. And then she writes, ding, 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 this is my life. And this realization that when we are tired, both physically, emotionally, it changes how we view the world, and the fears are greater. So she talks about when her kids are having trouble falling asleep, she has them throw their worries to her. They don't even have to say what the worries are, but they toss them across the room and she catches them. And that encouragement that maybe as adults we can do that with God. Maybe we can empty our pockets of the worries, toss them up to God, trusting God will catch them and keep them safe. That in the middle of our complex world, in this chaotic and exhausted time we sometimes live in, maybe one of the greatest gifts we can give one another and to ourselves is these simple gifts. Water, change of scenery and play, nourish ourselves, and get good rest. These little things won't solve it all, but they will sure make a difference in our lives. And so as we part today, I would just ask, how is our wonderful parenting God? A God who loves us, holds us as a father, nurtures us as a mother. How is God inviting us to care for ourselves and for one another? And when those fears and worries creep in, maybe we can trust that we can toss those worries to God and lean on those small actions of caring for ourselves. Well, friends, wherever your travels take you this summer, may you remember these simple things. May you go in peace. This Sunday, Bob and Debbie Nothdurft will be leading us in a lay-led Sunday, so we hope you'll be able to join them in the sanctuary or online for that. And I will see you back here again next week. Take care, friends, and go in peace.